No, Samazda, you can go ahead.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Jazakumullah khairan for everybody that is here on the call. Inshallah, would be expecting others to join as well. So today we would be having a lecture on Islamic spirituality, the bedrock of a Muslim family, by Sister Shaakirah Oshinlaja-Oluokun. Now, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So the agenda for today, we would start with the Surah Al-Fatiha and a welcome speech, and would recite or state the guidelines we have. And if you have any questions while the lecture is going on, you can send them in the chat box, bi'idhnillah. Then we would start the lecture after that, and we would end the lecture with a closing dua. So I'd like to state Zoom etiquette for all of us to be aware. We can put on our cameras in gallery view. Please, we should not record this session because we'll be sending the slides to us all after the lectures. We should not take screenshots either. And we should always remember to mute our mic. If you want to speak, you can raise your hand and the host would unmute you. And please, we would appreciate if you can rename yourself, put your name and the country you're joining from. And please use the chat option. If you have any question or any comments, you can use the chat option. And if you need a live transcription, you can, on your Zoom link, the right-hand side, you would see a more option, and then you would see live you can request for live transcription. And if you, so we have our mission statements in ISIP. The ISIP is an inclusive space designed to connect people with diverse backgrounds interested in Islamic psychology. It also aims to disseminate knowledge, share resources, and discuss best practices in a free and accessible manner. It is also a platform to enable further development of people's personal and professional interests, studies, and understanding of Islamic psychology within their communities and/or countries of origin. And if you would like to connect with us, you can join ISIP Islamic Psychology WhatsApp group. The link will be sent to the chats, so you can join our WhatsApp group.
No, Sister
Yes, so
Hanifa.
inshallah, I would call on Sister Hanifa to give a brief bio of the lecturer for today.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Hanifa, and I'll be giving a brief bio of the lecturer today. Shaakirah Oshinlaja-Oluokun is a seasoned parent coach, a certified emotional intelligence practitioner, a family life practitioner, and the founder TP Parenting Academy. She is also an author of the best-selling book, Connect to Influence, an empowering way to thrive with your child despite everyday challenges. As a certified emotional intelligence practitioner, she believes keenly in raising self-aware, emotionally intelligent, and resilient children. Also, as a parent coach, she helps parents gain clarity about self, identity, how to unlearn and break unhealthy parenting patterns that usually sabotage positive parenting practices through our coaching and training, thereby helping them build a positive relationship with their child. As a family life practitioner, she helps individuals, parents, and couples start right on the journey to build connected, thriving, and blissful relationships and families. Sister Shaakirah aims to empower parents with the knowledge, skills, and faith that it takes to raise a balanced, righteous, and resilient child, because she believes that parenting the next generation better is the way to have a better world tomorrow. Please welcome Sister Shaakirah as she takes up the space. Hello, Sister Shaakirah, are you there?
Can you give me one moment to share the screen, the presentation for her, please? 1 moment.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for having me. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. الصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم. So I think I'll put off my video since virtually everybody here does not have their video on. And I also am having my baby on my back, so I might be standing up to just dance around during the session. So please bear with me. I think let me just put off my video. While I'm waiting to see my slide, I will continue to talk on the ground. So the topic before me is spirituality, Islamic spirituality, the bedrock of Muslim family, or the Muslim family or Muslim families. And I'd like to talk about Islamic spirituality, the bedrock of a Muslim family. And I'd also like to talk about the fact that defining the core terms, which is on the next screen, defining core terms. The core terms here, as we can see, is first Islamic spirituality, bedrock, and then Muslim family. Islamic spirituality, why do we have to define spirituality and Islamic spirituality? We have to do that because there are various types of spirituality. Those that believe in yoga, those that believe in Christianity, those that believe in Hinduism, they all call their activities spirituality. But something that is unique and practical about this our own Islamic spirituality is that it must be Islamic for it to be spiritual. It must be Islamic for it to be accepted by Allah. So you can't say because you want to innovate something because you think, I think the way we pray is too strenuous for us. Why do we have to pray 5 times a day? Can't we just merge the salat together? We just pray everything once and for all. And then when it is time for Zuhr, maybe we pray everything after Subuh in the morning. Then when it's time for Zuhr, we just sit down, we just close our eyes, and we just say, I'm connecting with my God. Or we just hum to ourselves. We can't innovate that. Islamic spirituality is unique in and of itself. And that is why we have to understand that it is different from all sorts of spirituality. In Islamic spirituality, it's all encompassing in the sense that it takes into account your own inner self. It focuses on purifying your inner being. Inside, you must start from the inside out. Islamic spirituality is you focusing on purifying your inner being and then manifesting this positive inner change. How it's going to manifest in your daily life. That's what Islam is all about. So Islamic spirituality focuses more on you working on your inner self, inner dimension, before you now start manifesting. Automatically, when you work on your inner self, it will radiate in all your activities, your daily activities. So if you work on your inner self by working, which is majorly known as our soul in Islam, you work on your soul, you work on your own soul, it radiates in all the things that you do. It radiates in your relationship with if you're a mother, if you're a wife, if you're a husband, you're a friend, you are more conscious of the way that you behave. So, and then it also has to do with ritual worship. It must be ritual. There are ritual activities that we perform, like we observe our salat, we go to Hajj if you have the means. All those ritual activities that we do daily, they are all part of the things that we call Islamic spirituality. So you can't say I will do one, I will omit the other. So it is important that we get right the fact that Islamic spirituality is different from all sorts of spirituality. And before Allah, for us that are Muslims, we believe that is the core things, because Allah said it will not accept from anybody if it is not Islam. And then ethical conduct. Ethical conduct in this sense means that what you are trying to be fair in your actions towards yourself and others. Ethical has to do with you are seeking consent, you are taking into consideration how your actions affect the other person. And that's Islam for you. So you will see that the core thing that we are talking about here is that first you must take care of your inner relationship, the relationship between you and Allah. Relationship between you and Allah when nobody is seeing you, that's your inner work. The things that you do when no one is there with you, the things that you do, the thoughts that comes to your heart. You know, nobody knows your thoughts, right? Nobody knows what you're thinking, but you are taking into consideration the fact that Allah knows, Allah is with you, even though nobody can see you. And you are questioning yourself, you are asking yourself, should I act on this thought or not? Should I just follow anything that just whispers of shaitan that come into my heart? Or should I question them and caution myself, self-control? And then how that radiates and or how that influences your relationship with other people, and then ritual worship, how you observe your salat, how you give zakat, how you help the poor, and all of that. Next slide, please. And then bedrock. Bedrock in this sense is talking about foundation. Bedrock means the foundation of something. And why is that very important? Islamic spirituality is the bedrock of a Muslim family. That is, it is until we take care of our own Islamic spirituality that we can get family rights. And that's why I like that topic, Islamic spirituality, the bedrock of Muslim families. So we see we are in a state of chaos now in the world, in the Muslim world especially, because majority of us, we are found wanting one way or the other in terms of our spirituality, in terms of how we are taking care of our homes. Because a home is what represents the value that your family is bringing to the world. Your home is the most important, your family is the most important nation on earth, not in terms of wealth, not in terms of you are the best or you are the one that has all the resources, but in terms of the fact that you are going to be accountable for what happens to your family to a reasonable extent. You're going to be accountable for Allah. So if the home is found wanting, then the society will be found wanting too. If the home is weak, if the home is chaotic, if the home is not healthy, the result of the society will be that when we had the homes together, the summation of homes, we all that we are here, we came from homes, right? So we add up the product of each of our homes is what makes up the society. So if each of our homes are good, then it means that yes, the society will be okay. If the rest is not good, if the result is that it is not okay, then we can see the effect on the society. So the bedrock means that it is the foundation. Once Islamic spirituality is found wanting, once it is not accurate or is not of standard, then automatically the homes of Muslim family will also be found wanting. And I like to see Muslim families as the nucleus of, like a nucleus of a cell. So once the nucleus of a cell is dead, then you know what happened to the cells, right? The cell, right? Once the nucleus is faulty, the cell automatically dies. So what makes up a spiritual family? You now wonder, okay, we know that Islamic spirituality is very important now. We know that it is this bedrock of the society or of the family, of the Muslim family. Then what now makes us a spiritual family? What are the things that we can see that will make us say that our family, this particular family, they are spiritual? And if you are following me, I mentioned the fact that Islamic spirituality earlier on is unique in and of itself. It's different from the other kind of spirituality, where they believe that wealth is everything. The way that they rate their own being spiritual is by the fact that they are getting all the things that they want. They ask God, they will tell you, if you come to us, God will give you child. Come to us, you have work. Come to us, you have. That's not the kind of spirituality that Islam is teaching us. In spirituality of Islam, Allah told us categorically that He's going to test us with all the things that He has given us. But give what? Give good news to the patient, those who are patient with despite these trials. But some other spirituality will tell you that no, it's by the measure of the material things that they have that they measure how spiritual they are. So when things are not going the way they want it, they believe that God is angry with them, or they are not spiritual enough. But what now makes a spiritual family for a Muslim family is that, one, the first and the most important thing that we must see that will make us come to the conclusion that this family is spiritual is that they must have what we call Tawheed. Tawheed is believing in the oneness of Allah. They must have what we call Tawheed. Once there's a family that claims that they are Muslim, okay, I forgot to talk about Muslim family as one of the core terms I was defining earlier on. Muslim family in that sense means that what? Anyone that believes that projects and says that what I believe in Allah and His messenger, I believe in Allah and His messenger, which is the prophet. So anybody that says that I believe that Allah, I believe that there is God, there is Allah, I believe that Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is His messenger, we can call the person a Muslim. But in that Muslim, there's also what? There's also grade. There is level to it. We have the Mu'min, we have the Muhsin, we have the Mukhlis, and we also have, I think we have the, is it Wali? I can't remember the hierarchy of the way Muslims are being categorized. But in the end, the basic is that what? Anybody that says that I believe in Allah and His messenger is automatically a Muslim. But when we now look at the Muslim now, we can say that, what is your Tawheed? That spirituality that will keep you going as a Muslim family, one of it, the most important of it, is your Tawheed, believing that in oneness of Allah. And in this Tawheed, you believe that Allah is unique in and of itself. Is unity, is power, and everything that you are belongs to Him. That's Tawheed. Tawheed is that you affirm doing hardship, doing sweetness, when it is good, when things are difficult, you are still affirming that Allah is Allah. And we can use a typical example of the Palestinian, our brothers and sisters in Palestine. As a typical example, you look at some videos and you're asking yourself, are these people actually humans? Are they humans? Because how can you be in so much pain? How can you lose so much? And then you are still affirming the fact that, Alhamdulillah, you are still affirming the fact that La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, despite being in so much pain and so much chaos, so much discomfort. That's Tawheed. That's to show you that they believe that everything comes from Allah. If it is happening to us, then it is from Allah. If it is happening to us, Allah knows about it. And then we have Iman. Iman is that you believe in Allah. You believe in Allah. You know the articles of faith, right? You believe in Allah. You know that Allah is the beginning, is the end. You believe in Allah and all of the things that He has enjoyed on you or forbid for you to do. So believing in Allah is a very elaborate topic. If we are going to talk about it, we might not end in the limited amount of time that we have. But Iman is that you believe that everything happens by the permission of Allah. Oni ìgbàgbọ́, Yoruba will say, Entoni ìgbàgbọ́. Ìgbàgbọ́ is that when you have faith, you have that faith in Allah. That Allah is the beginning and the end, is the one that is in charge of everything. Then we move to Taqwa. Taqwa is you have the fear of Allah. The fear of Allah in the sense that you love Him so much that you are afraid of not meeting Him or accounting before Him and He's not pleased with you. I like to see Taqwa in that line, that because I fear this person so much, I'm afraid that if I do something to hurt this person, I will not gain his favor. And this is one of the things that is missing in homes today, even between husband and wife in the home, because we have lost this particular fear of Allah. We don't, Yoruba will say, husband is not just with the wife is not submissive to the husband, and all of that. And we can see the effects, the multiplicity of the effects, even on the kids, because they see that the kids are seeing how we are behaving. Even if we don't say it to them, even if we pretend that we are loving couples, they can read the room, they can read from our emotions, from our interactions with one another, and they can actually tell if we are actually having that healthy relationship or not. So it's the fear of Allah that is lost that will make parents wake up in the morning and not wake their child for subway. Because if you fear Allah, you will not wake up, because you can actually wake up in the morning and wake your child up for school, right? You are so early, wake up so early as 4, 5, just to get fixed breakfast, get some things ready, and you wake the child as early as 6, 7 to prepare them for school. But once it is time for madrasa, you don't prepare them. You say, it's weekend. You don't prepare them. You don't wake them up to observe subh. You say they are still young. But they're not still young. They're not too young to be woken up to go to school. These are the little and subtle ways that we unknowingly are not practicing Islamic spirituality. Because if truly we believe in this thing and we know that we are going to account, and we can wake them up just to learn worldly lessons that will not, it's not as if it's not going to be useful for them, but in the real sense, it's not as if it's not going to be useful to them. But in the real sense, this knowledge will not be beneficial to them anywhere let's start from the burial ground, from the couple. It will not be very useful for them in the burial ground, right? They will not ask them what is physics or what is chemistry or what is economics in the burial ground. What they will ask them are things that has to do with their faith. What they are going to be questioned, each and every one of us will be questioned about is about that. So if we don't have that fear of Allah in how just we are in dealing with our kids, in dealing with our spouse, in dealing with other people, our neighbors, our friends, then we are going to continue to hurt each other. And Allah does not like those that are unjust. Allah is not unjust. Then we talk about ihsan. Ihsan is more about excellence, the value you bring to the world. In all that we do, you strive for excellence because we are not mediocre, right? And your family must represent that. When they see your family, they say, our family, this particular family, they are doing their best. Nobody has the yardstick to measure your faith. Like one of my friend teacher will say that nobody has what we call Igbagbo meter. Nobody has faith meter that can measure your faith. But it is what we see that you do that we are going to use to judge you, because Allah that has to do with Allah is the only one that can measure what is unseen. He's only the one that have knowledge about the unseen. But us as humans, we are only going to measure you on what we can see, because it's what we see that we are going to use to judge as humans. Allah is the one that will judge based on what is not seen to others. So ihsan is about your family striving for excellence in all that they do, both in visual matters, spiritual matters, worldly matters. They are trying to learn something, they are putting in their best, they are going for a presentation, they put in their best. Even in their house, the chores that you do, that your kids do, you can start teaching them. One of the things that I do to my own son is I tell him that, is this actually okay for you? When I ask him to redo something, maybe he has done his assignment haphazardly or roughly, and I'll tell him, you have to redo it. And we'll start begging, Mommy, please let me just leave it like that. I will say, no, this is not good enough. And this is beneath your standard. Because Allah has called you is representative. So I'll use the verse of the verse 110 from Surah Al-Imran to remind him of who he is. That Allah has told you that you are the best of all mankind. So if you are the best, this is not something that the best person will present in any situation. Then we talk about knowledge. Knowledge is something that is very important, because without knowledge, we cannot even know Allah. And if we don't know Allah, how do we want to worship Allah? I think there's an hadith that talks about that. Is that hadith Qudsi that says that if you don't know me, how will you worship me? So it is that knowledge that we don't have. Many of us are in our home, we don't even have knowledge of the basic etiquette of living as husband and wife and with kids in the house. Some parents, we just dress anyhow in front of our kids. We don't know the right knowledge of how to even interaction with our neighbors. This knowledge is very vast, and we must continuously seek that knowledge. Spiritual family, as little as just dressing up or just putting images in your house, can affect the spiritual life of your child or of the whole family. As little as just dressing up nakedly can damage your child in the house. As little as just talking vaguely can actually affect your child, or even you as a parent. Even your interaction with one another, each other as a parent, can be affected by the level of knowledge that you're trying to invest in. Many of us, we get married without any knowledge. We got married without any knowledge. We just got married because our parents asked us to. We believe that we are old enough and we have all it takes to get married. And we get married, we realize that there is so much to marriage that we were not prepared for. We don't know anything about our family, our partner's family. We are not working on trying to understand who they are, their personality, and how it differs from our personality, their love language, and stuff like that. And we keep on struggling in that marriage. Knowledge is all encompassing, and anything like the hadith of the Prophet that says that every knowledge is for the Muslim. And anywhere we find it, anywhere it is, we go to search for it, even if it's as far as in China. I can't remember the address now very well. That's to tell you that knowledge is something that will change, that keeps evolving, and you must be conversant with the reality or the peculiarity of the knowledge of your time. or of the knowledge of your own situation or circumstance, or of your own local environment. So the way we are going to talk about family life in Nigeria is different from the way we are going to talk about it maybe in the abroad or in any other country. So spiritual family, these are the core things that we must see of a spiritual family. They must invest in knowledge. They must hold dearly Tawheed, that is the belief that Allah is one. There is nothing like a father, son, and child, or Omo Baba Ti Omo Ati Temimo. That's not Islam. Because we see this sect in Nigeria now, we see people that say that they are Muslims, they dress in like Muslims. In fact, they pray, and you see them, they believe, they start chanting, they enter what we call Wogbemi. I don't know how to say that in English. Manu Wogbemi. I have one when I was living in Ibadan, behind my compound. That's what they do. They have girls that will go into is it trance? Yes, they'll go into trance, and then for days they will come out and say that they have seen. They'll start projecting, like they can see something about you, about your future, about something that is happening to you. That's not Islam. Islamic spirituality is that there is no barrier between you and Allah. It's not about your relationship, and that's Tawheed. Knowing that you yourself, you can talk to Allah and Allah hears you, because Allah affirms to you in various verses in the Quran that ask me and I will answer you. Call on me and I will respond to you. I hear and I listen to the cry of those who call on me. That's Tawheed. You don't have to go through anybody. And Iman is that you believe, you have faith in Allah, that anything that happens to you, if you call him, he will answer you. So Iman is like supporting your Tawheed. Tawheed is already, you believe that Allah is one. Then Iman is supporting it, that I have faith that this Allah exists. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. So, and then Taqwa is just to caution you, to hold you accountable, to help you rectify to call you back, because we are humans, we are going to make mistakes. Sometimes we forget, and that's what Allah says, Allah bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. When you remember Allah, the remembrance of Allah will help you, will bring peace to your hearts. It is when you remember Allah that you are going to find peace. When you remember Allah, maybe your husband has done something for you, and you're like, I'll just treat your fuck up, right? But then you remember Allah, that you're going to account for Allah. There are many things that we do to hurt each other, right? As maybe in our family, as husbands and wife, or even in our relationship, like friendship relationship, or any other one. But then because you remember that I will account to Allah. There was a time that somebody offended me, and he lied on me. I think it was in a family gathering, in-law palaver. And I felt like if I had a spell, if I had a power that moment, I would just make her confess that she was lying to me. That was how much I felt. That if I had the power, I would just make her start confessing that she was lying to me, because I felt really betrayed. I felt hurt. But when we now remember that before, don't worry, because there is Allah. Imagine that I had that power. Perhaps I would have done that. But when there is fear of Allah, that I don't need to do that. Allah is aware of all that is happening. And Allah will reward her for her action. And Allah will suffer. Allah will what? Vindicate me. The next slide, please. So Tawheed, I think it's Tawheed that is on the next slide. I just try to elaborate what Tawheed means on the next slide again. Knowing that Tawheed is more about, that's the core thing. Once that one is shaky, every other thing is faulty. Once you don't believe that Allah is one, you believe that there is one person that can still take you to Allah. There is one person that you have to go and meet to worship before you can connect with Allah. We have those practices here in Nigeria so much that some people will say that if they do not pray, their sheikh has taken that their sheikh will suffice them before Allah. There is nothing like that in Islam. This is incumbent on you. You cannot somebody cannot replace your own action for you. You as a parent, you cannot do that of your child. Your child cannot do your own for you. So you must understand that. So Tawheed is comprehensive understanding of monotheism in Islam. It describes the absolute belief in the oneness and unity of Allah. Allah is one. There is nothing like there's a Mimimo. There is all those language that we use. I don't know how it's anything of those of us in the north or in the east, but here in the southwest of Nigeria, southern part of Nigeria, southwest of Nigeria, it's more rampant. We have different versions. They believe that they can go through one man before they can go to Allah. They have to go to the Afar before. No, that's not spirituality. Spirituality is that you walk towards Allah. You wake up and you supplicate. You observe your salat. After observing your salat, you talk to Allah. Allah hears you. Allah is responding to you, and stuff like that. You wake up in the midnight to observe tahajjud. You talk to Allah, because Allah says, the Prophet says, during the third part of the night, Allah has descended and is asking you, who needs this? Who is calling on me? Who wants this? Let them ask me, then I will grant it to them. It's that understanding of that tawhid, of understanding that Allah is one, that will help you through every other difficulty or life challenges that you go through. The next slide, please. Next slide. So then, what we have talked about the things that we'll see that will make us know that this family is actually spiritual. Then what's now the benefit of Islamic spirituality in the family or in the home? I mentioned earlier on that these are the 5 criteria or qualities that we must see that will make us say, this family is spiritual. Then what's now the benefits? Remembrance of Allah. When the family is spiritual, they will remember Allah at all times. That will be called for them. When things are hard, they remember Allah. When things are flourishing, when things are going the way they want it, they don't get carried away and believe that it's by their own doing. That's not what Islam teaches us. And we can see a typical example from Surah Al-Kahf of the man that was making jest of the other man regarding his farm. And we saw how Allah made him an example, his scapegoats, making him understand that everything that happens to you is, yes, you made your efforts, but it's still by the mercy of Allah. So remembrance of Allah is one of the benefits of a Muslim. One of the things that is called to an Islamic home is that they remember Allah at all times, because Allah has promised us that He's going to test us. So tests and trials are something that is difficult for us to accept as humans. When it happens to us, we begin to start questioning ourselves, start feeling like, are we a bad person? Are we a difficult person? Or is Allah angry with us or at us? Is Allah upset with us? But we have to remind ourselves that no, trials are not a shameful thing. They are a means to moving us closer to Allah. So the way we think is different from the way the other religion will think. A typical example is a Christian. When to them, there is nothing like trials. Once they are a child of God, they are not to be tested. Everything must flourish. And that's why one of the reasons that many people, those that will leave Islam and go to that religion, will tell you is that because they never said that, when you ask them, why did you leave Islam? They will not tell you it's because Allah is not Allah, or Prophet Muhammad, or what the Quran have said is not true. They will usually tell you it's because of material things, like because things were not moving on for me, things were a bit hard, things were difficult, or I was praying, and I did not see any results. So at the end of the day, it is usually because of material things that they leave Islam for other religion. So, but when you remember Allah always, you should make it an habit that we remember Allah always in our thoughts, in even in our interactions. When things are going right, we remind ourselves, what our soul will hack, what our soul will sabr. That's in Surah to answer. Allah said that this word itself has been caused. Except for these 3 people. Except for these people, those are righteous, what our soul will haki, they enjoy goodness, they speak truth. What our soul will sabr, and they enjoy each other to be patient when things are hard. That's to tell you that Allah is telling us that this word itself is nothing. And I think there's an hadith of the Prophet that also emphasizes that. And then with perseverance. Perseverance is a core trait of a Muslim. Perseverance is a core trait of a Muslim. And if you want to know that your house is a spiritual one, you persevere. Because there is nowhere in history of Islamic practice or of those that practice Islam so far that we have learned that there is one person that throughout their existence, they just live in affluence, or they just live with good. There is no time that they were tested. That is not what our religion is about. Allah told us categorically that He's going to test us. Allah told us that He's going to test us with fear, hunger, even with our kids, with our wealth. But give glad tidings to those who are patient, to those who stand firm. So perseverance is very important. So, and in Surah 2, I don't know, I think is it in Surah 2 Rod? Yes, I think Allah mentioned something about being persevering. So another thing that one of the benefits of having that spiritual home is also the fact that it helps you remember your purpose. You don't get carried away. Remember your purpose and you remember accountability, because with purpose, Allah told us in Surah 2, what surah is that? I think Quran 51 verse 56, Allah told us that the purpose of creation is that He has not created man or jinns except that we should worship Him. Yes. Allah said He has not created us except that we should worship Him. And that is, it's our purpose is that He has created us so that we can worship Him. Does that now mean that we have to stay in the mosque all through our lives and start worshiping Allah? That's just the physical aspect of worship. That's just one of the physical aspects of worship. It's not limited to that. Worship can be in terms of coming to this class to learn is a worship. Coming here, going to school to learn can be a worship, as long as you align your intention right. Even eating can be a worship for you, as long as you put your intention right. You're not eating to show up. You are eating so you can gain strength. So when you gain strength, you can worship Allah better. You can do other things that are important to you and to Allah and to Allah Himself. So that's remembrance of our purpose. What is our purpose? Allah told us in the Quran that it's to worship Him. And worship can be very elaborate, can be diverse. You can worship Allah through different means. Spiritual worship is just the one that we normally know. Observing there are numerous ways to worship, and it begins with our intention and accountability. Allah says that what? On that day, you're going to be asked about the delight that you have indulged in this world. One of the delight that we are indulging now during our time is technology. During the life of the prophets, they didn't have anything called technology. Prophets is even too far. 10 years ago, there was nothing like easy access to information at the click of your thumb. Then you have information across to you. Despite having the means, many of us are still not seeking the knowledge. Many of us can spend our time on social media doing just reading messages that are not really beneficial to us, just catching cruise, which is not very bad. You can use that to detox or to just relax your brain. When it becomes an habit, that if you don't do, you are not getting yourself, you feel like you are not in the world again. All of that affects you. Allah will question us about how we do all of these things. So when you have that spiritual home, it's an avenue for you to keep reminding yourself of your purpose, that we have a goal in mind, we have an end. We have all this that we are just doing. It's just a means to an end. This world is just a means. The end is with Allah. The end is that we want to go to Jannah. That's our real home that we have to walk to in. So Allah will question us. Accountability means that for every responsibility that's been given to you, there is an accountability. Allah has given us the responsibility of worship, as He have said that. So that responsibility is that we worship Him. Then what's not the accountability? For every responsibility, there's an accountability. So if you are responsible to worship Allah, if you have been created to worship Allah, that's your responsibility. Then you have to account to Allah. And like one of my teachers can speak English fluently. We are so proud of ourselves, and we even boast about how fluent we are in English language. We even make jest of others when they make mistake when they are speaking English. But we cannot even boast of speaking Arabic. We cannot even boast of or to learn the Arabic language. And even though Allah told us that, the Prophet ﷺ told us that what? On the day of Arabic is the language of Jannah, right? That's the language you are going to speak. So it will be a plus, an addition for you if you learn Arabic now, if you know it now. So you must understand that worship is vast, and then Allah will question us about all the delight that we enjoyed in this world. They are numerous. Technology is a list of them. The next slide, please. Okay. Can you help with the next slide, please? Sorry, is Brother Aziz there? Okay, then now, I wish all that we have said, we know that these benefits are actually immense and they are important. We know how these things are. We all believe that, yes, one day we are going to account to Allah. We believe that we are here for a purpose. We know these things, but sometimes we still struggle to stay focused. And what are the challenges that are influencing us in not staying focused? One of them is social media, like I said earlier on. Social media is a core thing that affect how we show up, that influence our thought pattern, right? Because now you can be here and you know what is happening in China, you know what is happening in the rest of the world, just by sitting in your house by virtue of social media. So if you are not careful, if you are not mindful in the things that you consume, they're going to be affected. You're going to be affected. Your thought pattern will be affected. Imagine just seeing, by default of just seeing something every day, you are being influenced. So now imagine you or your family, you have your kids, they have social media, they have access to all information. And then that is affecting the things that you are teaching them. Even as adults, we struggle, right? You know something that this is the right thing to do, but you see influence, you see somebody post their picture, and it seems like, excuse me, they have all their life perfectly perfect together. But behind the scenes, you don't know what is going on. So all of these things affect how much we dedicate or how we compare ourselves to other people. So because you think you see somebody that posted their life, maybe they went on family vacation, and you assume that your own family is not doing well just because they went on vacation, and then that's affecting how you're relating with your kid or with your husband or with your wife, and vice versa. So social media is it's one of the evil that can affect the spirituality of a family if care is not taken, if caution is not taken, if you don't consume it in moderation. You should choose a day that you detox as a family from social media. It could be that you taking a break hour for a day break, and just connect with your kids. It could be that you just ensure that you just look at your family reality and adopt what work for you. Then we also have social cultural practices. We have talked about social spirituality as being believing in Allah. But we know in our own social cultural here in Nigeria, social practice, they say our parents believe in Allah, they believe in Allah, but they still believe that there is one Baba somewhere that can still help them. So they will say things like, Ọlọ́run kájò. I was in the Marwa yesterday. I was coming back home, and this man was saying confidently that ọmọ ni mí o. Ṣé ẹ kọ́ ọmọ ni mí, but ẹni tí ò bá lówó ń sìn, owó la fi ń ṣẹ̀sìn, tí ò bá sówó, ìyẹn á ṣèrànù. He was trying to justify the fact that Yahoo is good, that kids can do Yahoo. So if they do Yahoo, we should encourage them, because Nigeria has become what it is today because our leaders are bad. So if they do Yahoo, we should pray for them to support them. And he was saying that, and I was saying, I now mentioned that, bro, we have to fear the day of accountability. He said, I like that word, but accountability. So these are cultural practices. So the things that you think is the right thing. And that's because we have also not stepped up as the vicegerents that Allah has called us. Because the Muslim, we are still sleeping. We are still sleeping. We are not. How many of us today woke up today and have tried to call maybe one of our relatives or our neighbors and talk to them about spirituality or about how they can better their life, or about the day of judgment? We don't do that again now. We believe that everybody is perfect. But there is somebody somewhere in Nigeria that does not even know that does not even know about Allah, that Allah exists. There is somebody somewhere in Nigeria that do not know that there is something called Islam. Does that mean that every one of us must go to the rural area? No. But we can think of how we can solve this problem. So social cultural practices are so numerous, and they are still affecting us, even though we are saying that I want to believe that we are thinking that we are better than our parents. But then, in terms of our practicing Islam, because now we now know Tawheed, we now know Tajweed, and we now do what? We now know Qalqala, we can pronounce Arabic right than they did during their own time. But we still unconsciously, we are still practicing some of their practice. We are still influenced by their practice. So that they will tell you that you should go and want to give birth to a child. You see hijab sister still using pin on her stomach when she's pregnant. Or the one that will tell you that, Emma Sobel, don't sit down. Don't sit down on the entrance by the door and eat when you sit down there. These are things that I hear people say. We still see hijab sisters still going to, they call it Yemiwu. They go to an afar. They believe that one afar should help them see a future. For different reasons. So for some people, it's because their husband is about to take a new wife. For some people, it's because their child failed an exam, and different things that we hear and we see. And I personally also hear and see of people that I know that these people are using a hijab, and we believe in it. When they call them Muslim, they're also going to raise their hand up. I'm a Muslim. And then lack of knowledge and the lack of seeking knowledge too. We don't have the knowledge. We don't have the right Islamic akida. We don't have the right Islamic orientation, and we are not willing to seek the knowledge. And when somebody is now cautioning you and telling you that this is not allowed in Islam, film mixing is not allowed in Islam, this is not okay, you people are fanatic. My own Islam, Allah on temi ororo. These are things that we see, and we have people like that in our own family. In our own family, even though Allah have blessed you, Allah have guided you to the right path. But some people, you benefited from the effort of some people, but you're not willing to pass it down to other people. 10, 15 years ago, I know that I was not even using the hijab. When you talk to me about Islam, I'll be like, oh, just leave me alone. But it was some people that I benefited from. It's just one of my aunts that I just saw. That the way she behaves, she was so calm. When you talk to her, she would be so calm. I was like, is this person, are you human at all? It was just that behavior that influenced me to start practicing and using the hijab. May Allah bless her for me. So we don't have the knowledge, we don't seek the knowledge. You don't know what is the knowledge of how to raise our child. What is the knowledge of the relationship between husband and wife? You can go on social media and see different relationship. They will tell you how a wife should treat the husband. But is that the Islamic way? Is that what Allah wants of us? Because Allah told us that it is through Islam. It is when we submit to Him that we can find peace. That's what Islam is. It's total submission to the will of Allah. And it is until you submit to Allah that you can find peace. That is the meaning of Islam itself. Peace. So we should make it an habit that we start seeking knowledge. No matter how old you are, make it an habit to seek knowledge. You don't know how to read the Quran very well. Don't give up on yourself. Because believe me, all these things that we are doing, I'm a psychologist, I'm a this, I'm a that. Yes, we can use them to better life in this world. But in the grave, they will not ask us, what is psychology? Nobody will ask you that. Nobody will ask you, what is biology? What is economics? We have to keep learning about our own words. You cannot leave out Islamic spirituality, Islamic knowledge, Islamic sciences out of Western sciences. You must find a way to keep learning about the two of them, because that's a way of Islam. That's what this world needs now. The next slide. The practical solutions. What are the practical solutions that we can use to make sure that our own family is grounded in Islamic spirituality? It's first that we have to create our own family vision. When we ask a typical family now, general family, not even about Muslim now, what is your family bringing to the world? What value are you bringing to the world? They will say, I just want to give birth to children. That's the major goal. How can you say that a marriage is blessed for a family? Is that by having children. That's layman thinking. Once you don't have a child, then that marriage is not blessed. Even our parents will say it. You better have a way of saying it. As if that is the only thing that Allah has given as a yardstick for a blessed family. So it is when you now ask a Muslim family, a Muslim couple, what is their own vision, or what are they bringing? What is their own family adding to the world? Some people get lost. You must have a clear understanding of what your family wants to bring to the world. If you're asking now, why do you want to go to university? You know the reason why you want to go and study, so I can become a doctor. When you become a doctor, why do you want to become a doctor? So I can start treating people that are healed and all of that. You can explain to us. Even though you don't have the whole vision clearly put together, you can give up to a reasonable extent what you want to do, why you want to go there. So if you are asking you, why do you want to start a marriage? You must tell us why you want to start a marriage. Yes, Allah told you to get married. Yes, that's normal. Don't tell us that one. We already know that one, that Allah commanded you to get married. Allah told you that you should find somebody and get married, right? Well, what value do you want to bring? What value will your kids bring to the world? Because your child should be a blessing to the world. Your child should come and solve one of the problems in the world already. And like and this I learned that somebody that I read, I have not gotten the Arabic version, that the Prophet ﷺ said that so each child is a solution to the problems in the world. That it is now left for the parents of the child to nurture the child to be that solution provider. So each of us must ask ourselves, what is my own family vision? And why is this very important? It is important because when you ask a husband and wife now, what do you want your family? What's the vision of your family? Your husband will say different thing. The wife will say, the husband might say that You should enter Jannah. And the wife might say something like, I should be the best wife to my husband. Even though those statements are actually absolutely good and they are absolutely correct, they are not coherent, they are not consistent. The wife is thinking of something else, the husband is thinking of something else. So imagine you having you are traveling and you're about to board a plane and they tell you that this is the pilot, these are the pilot that will take you on your journey. Imagine them telling you that these are the pilot that are taking you there, and you ask one, where are you going to pass? One is saying, no, we are going to pass this particular route. The other one is saying, no, we don't have to pass that place. You can pass the other place. You're going to be confused because they are the two people that want to take you on the journey. So it is left for the husband and the wife to have a vision, a family vision in place of where they want their family to go. And it must be documented. You must write it down. This is what we want to do. Because even Allah, why do you have to have a vision? Why do you have to have a vision written down? Allah himself have a vision for this world, and I wrote the vision down through Lawli Mahfuz. If Allah that has the absolute knowledge of what is in the heaven and the earth and what will be our end, and yet he still took out the time to write it down in Lawli Mahfuz, then who are we not to have a vision of our own life, write it documented, and changed from time to time as life progresses? Then values, we must have our values that we want to live by. Values are standard that we live by. These are values that you can write out your values. Islamic values are values that you can write as your values. So write your values. Is it that God-fearing? Is it spirituality must be a core value to you? So one of our own family values is spirituality. Spirituality is that what? We are teaching our kids to understand that they are accountable before Allah. They are responsible to Allah. Yes, we might encourage them to pray, we might encourage them to do this, to do that, but we are teaching them early enough to know that what? You are not praying for me, you are praying for Allah, and Allah will question you. These are values. Then your culture. Culture is a way of living, and it changes from time to time. Culture is more about, we can't say this is just that's the way we are in Nigeria. When you ask people now, what's the way, the typical example when I have, because I deal with parenting a lot, they will tell you that you can't raise kids without shouting or without yelling, and they will tell you that that's the way we are, that's our culture in Nigeria or in Africa generally. But culture is a way of people, right? There's some people that practice that at a period of time that it became a culture. So if you want to change that culture, it's still possible. You just have to practice something that you want, and then it becomes a culture too. Traditions are more of the things that you practice in your home, maybe yearly, annually, quarterly, weekly, and stuff like that. Your tradition might be that every week in your house, every Friday, you sit together as a family and you read Surah to Kaf together. That's a tradition that your kids will grow up to. Your tradition might be that, okay, every last Saturday of the month, you visit the hospital and you help those that are in need. You clear a bill, or you visit you go to the graveyard, you just listen and just reflect around that. These are tradition. You might look for a tradition that you want your child to know about, to become a core memory for them, so that when they grow older, they can keep talking about this about you, that I learned how to visit the grave and reflect through my father or through my mom. I learned how to help the poor through my mom, because every Friday they will usually, my grandmother will usually, my mom will usually come together and cook for those that are poor and just feed people in the streets. These are things that you might look into. Then another thing is that you can make lifelong learning a lifestyle. Make lifelong learning a lifestyle. This is one of the things that I personally have found wanting in the Muslim family. Learning is not part of us. We just believe that, especially for those of us that are females, once you are married, we think that learning has come to an end, because motherhood is so demanding, right? So the end is, once I finish my BSc, then that's the end. My child will start reading the rest, so my children should start learning the rest. That should not be a part of you. Even though, yes, you might not have money to further for masters or to further for your PhD, you might start just opting for self-development courses. Even if it has to do with all that you're going to give to your family, about nutrition, about self-help, spirituality, stuff like that. Little by little, just keep learning. Make lifelong learning a lifestyle, so that your kids will understand that being a parent is not the end of learning. Because many kids now, that's what they believe. That once you have become a mommy, then that's the end. You don't have to learn again. Then create a spiritual activity routine in your house. Do you make it an habit that no matter how busy you are as a family, you pray together once a day, or you sit down to recite Askar, to say your Askar once a day? Askar is something that I found that I have seen Muslim homes wanting of, and the prophets that's why you have Citadel of the Believer, right? An entire book that was written by somebody, and it has become something that houses have been healed by up until this time. So make what is that routine, that spiritual routine that you have in your house? Is it tahajjud? And it must be outside of the one that Allah has enforced on you already. Yes, it's okay for you to follow the one that Allah, the minimum is okay. Salat, Allah has given us salat mandatory on us. But can you find one outside of that that connects you together as a family? Because salat, in the real sense, is just between you and Allah. Is a relation, is a communication between you and Allah. It's you saying to Allah, talking to Allah. But can you have one, maybe like a scout that you can do together as a family? Or something else, it can be outside of a scarf. Just think about it. It is your family goal, it is your goal. So think about something for yourself as a family that you can do as a spiritual routine. Then be wary of environment. Environment is so important that if you're not careful, everything that you are giving your child will just be wallowed down by the environment. Environment can be system. It could be your local environment, and it could be the bigger environment in terms of influence. So if your environment is not safe, it could be your local immediate environment in terms of your home. So you might be teaching your child everything, you are teaching them theoretical, but what they are seeing you practice, or what they are seeing in their home is different. So if you're not careful, you will just keep teaching your child, but the environment is not allowing them practice what you're teaching them. So if you have the means to live an environment that is not healthy for your child, do so lillahi wa rasuli. Understand that you're doing it for Allah's sake. And a typical example, many people might not agree with me, is Nigeria. Nigeria is not a real place to raise a child that is healthy, that is completely healthy. Is it possible? Wallah, is very possible, but you have to make sacrifices, deep and huge sacrifices. Sometimes it could be as huge as you just living in rural areas. Except you have the money, you have the wealth, then yes, you can actually live in exorbitant places and yet still raise that child healthily. But if you want to raise a child that is spiritual, that you want to understand who they are, their essence, by connecting to Allah, believe me, your environment must be something that you pay attention to. You can't say, apologies to those that live in Mushin. I lived in Mushin for some part of my life. So I lived in Ajegunle, I live in Mushin, I live in Oshodi at some point in my life. But if you want to raise a child that is healthy, you must be intentional about the environment. That's what I'm trying to say in essence. This is not to mock anybody that is currently living in rural or in ghetto areas. Well, that's far from my intention, but it's important for us to talk about the truth. Environment plays a critical role in how your child is developing, how they think, in their orientation. So be wary of your environment, and then teach and live Islamic teachings. Teach and live Islamic teachings of the prophets. Many of us, we know many sunnahs of the prophets, but we hardly live by them. We know them theoretically. We know how to talk about them. We know how to teach our kids this or this. But when it comes to practicality, it's difficult for us to do. It's difficult for us to practice. So we must know that the teachings of the prophets, they're like a guide for us, a manual for us. They're like a sheet for us. Like a sheet, this is Orijo, like the Yoruba will call it. This is Expo of how you should live. You want your child to be spiritual, teach them the little askar. Askar is so important. Askar before entering the toilet, before leaving the house, when you are outside, when you are about to eat. These little things that we just think they are nothing to them. Wallahi, they are so beneficial because they start shaping the thinking of your child. Don't just commonize them like there's nothing to them now. I can just see. My son was asking me, why do we have to start saying these Arabic prayers? Why can't you just say them? Allah bless my food. Allah bless onje mi. Allah ba mi falbarika onje. And then we just eat. Why must it be in Arabic? I had to explain to him that because Arabic is the language Allah has chosen. Allah has the right to choose whatever He likes. Allah said that He has made some people leaders above others. He has chosen some people above other people by virtue of his will. So if Allah has chosen Arabic language of all languages, then you must also cherish that language. If Allah has chosen the Prophet ﷺ above all prophets, then you must follow the Prophet. If Allah has chosen the Friday above all days, then you must cherish that Friday. You must honor that day, just so you could get the pleasure of, you could gain the pleasure of Allah. So if Allah has chosen the Prophet and He has said that what? He will not talk from wishful thinking. Allah said it in the Quran that the Prophet will not talk from wishful thinking. That everything He says is what Allah wants to say. So if the Prophet is saying that what? Do azkar before you enter the house. Ask Allah to protect you from evil, from the one that has sinned, from the one that has not sinned. Do morning azkar, do evening azkar. All these are for your own benefits. Before you have mate with your husband, before you have intercourse, meet with your husband, your spouse, say an azkar. All these are for protection. When you are pregnant, say this azkar. It's for your own self. So you must live by it. And that will make me end with the verse of the Holy Quran on the last slide. That Allah says that what? If you believe in Him, if you say you believe in Allah, then you should follow the prophets. And I think that's on the last slide. It says that what? If you believe me, if you truly say that you believe me, then you should follow the prophets. Okay, sorry. Before then, I said, keep it going. Keep it going here means that what? Don't give up. Wallah, it is easier said than done. But we have to keep reminding ourselves. We have to keep reminding ourselves, especially for us that are females, that are the mothers. It can be challenging. You are the mother, you are the one that will get pregnant, you give birth to the child. The wala of raising the child, the sleepless night, wallahi, is not easy. But you have to remind yourself that this is what we want to do. And you have to have like minds that will remind you. Because we forget as humans, right? And sometimes we get tired. But when you have like minds, they are going to remind you that this is the goal. This is what you are supposed to be doing. This is what you're not supposed to be doing. Then you keep praying. Dua is very important. Nothing comes easy except by the permission of Allah. And you must be humble enough to keep acknowledging that in all of your efforts towards having that spiritual family. And then Allah says that if you follow Him, you are rightly guided. There are some words that come before that. Allah says, if you believe me and you want to, and you say you obey me and you trust me, then follow the prophets. And if you follow Him, you are rightly guided. So it means that anything that the Prophet told you to do, that He has encouraged to do, or He has forbid you from doing, wallahi, is because Allah loves it. The Prophet will not do something that is just for his own wishful thinking or for his own selfish interests. That's not who the Prophet is. I ask Allah to make it easy for us to build that Islamic home and Islamic identity, to raise our kids who are proud of their Islamic identity and will not shy away from the sunnah of the prophets wherever they find themselves. May Allah forgive me for whatever mistake that I've made during this session. And because obviously it is from me, and whatever goodness that I've said, wallah, is by the mercy of Allah. I ask Allah to make it beneficial for every one of us, myself, in this world and in the hereafter, and I ask Him to accept it from us as an act of ibadah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullahu khairan. Thank you so much. It was a really beneficial conversation. And I learned a lot of things. And I believe we also took one or two things from what she has said. May Allah continue to grant you beneficial knowledge, and may Allah continue to increase you in knowledge. One of the first things you said that caught my attention was, if you have a good relationship with Allah, the first thing you need to do is have a good relationship with Allah. That's one of the ways you can build your spirituality. And it's really stuck to me that actually the foundation of what we've been created to do is to worship Allah. If you do that, then every other thing would fall in place in the family and in the society. And you also shared some of the problems that affect Islamic spirituality in families. You talked about social media, and it has a lot of negative impact to both the parents and to the children too. And what you said that could really help, that if we're able to control the use of our social media, yes, you can use it to have fun and entertain yourself, but the way you use it, don't spend so much time and you would forget or leave your religion, time for salah or your ibadah, you would forget it. I should be very careful of that. And you shared practical solutions, which are like things that I plan to also inculcate in my own family. Talk about having values and visions as a family. Like, what if you're asked in society that, okay, what can your family give to the society? What do you have to say about that? And I hope to go back and also think about it so that what can I offer to the society as a person and for my family? I just share that we should, cultivate spiritual activity routine, which really makes a lot of sense. Like, okay, every Saturday morning we'll be having this particular ibadah. Maybe we'll be learning book of hadith, or we would be reading the Quran together as a family to share that. And one of the things you also said that stood out for me is that we should live, with the Islamic teachings. We should live our life according to what Islam says. That if we're able to do all of those things, our spirituality as a family would increase and it would be better. So Jazakumullah khairan once again. Thank you so, so much. Please, if we have any question, we can drop it on the comments in the chat section. If you have any question, if you have any contribution, so that we can share it with our lecturer for today. So do we have anything? Or you want to raise up your hand to talk, please raise up your hand and unmute the mic. Do you have any question? Okay. Seems there is no question. Okay, inshallah, we would okay, can this lecture be delivered on a weekly basis? Bismillah, we hope to get there, but for now, we only do monthly webinars because it takes a lot of planning and getting resource persons. But bismillah, we hope we'll get to the stage where we'll be having weekly, webinars like this that are beneficial, bismillah. Okay, so if you don't have any question, so on the screen, you can see that you can connect with our speaker for today through our email, phone number, and Instagram accounts, in case you want to have a personal conversation with her. So we would like to end this session with a closing dua. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. And if you would like to join ISIP Nigeria, on the chat section, there is a link for the WhatsApp group where we share presentation slides, recording, and other ISIP events. So if you would like to join, please kindly click on the link. Jazakumullah khairan to everybody for attending. Bismillah, we'll see you again next month. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.